Hey, Townsville business community, Ricky here from Towards Better. You might be a business in the current environment that's thinking, look, it's really hard to find staff. We have staff shortages. We need to figure out who to hire next and how to bring people into our organization and develop the talent that we already have. One of the strategies, and I suppose important value bases that your organization might have, may be thinking about employing people with disabilities, being more of an inclusive employer in all forms, including people with disabilities. Many companies find it really difficult to know where to start. In fact, they kind of just overcomplicate things. And what we've found out through research, and you can see in many articles, including information published by the Australian Chamber of Commerce, tell us that people with disabilities have a wide range of skills, talents, experiences, and are interested and capable of jobs, everything from casual to part-time to full-time work. And also that people with disabilities tend to be people who are going to stick around longer in a job. They're going to be reliable and productive. They're going to have fewer workplace accidents, take fewer sick days, and overall just contribute to the culture. And so it's not a tokenistic recruitment strategy where if you get those people and you have this Noah's Ark, that things are going to be that much better. But it is one helpful strategy of looking at how to actually take action. And so most people don't know where to start. So a helpful place to start would be really demonstrating that your organization has a priority to accessibility and inclusion. So many people think that accessibility is purely having a physical access, like a ramp or accessible bathrooms or automatic doors, but there's really many other ways to include people with a variety of disabilities, not just physical disabilities. And in fact, people with intellectual disabilities and psychosocial disabilities or mental health issues or episodic disabilities or periodic that kind of come and go or have more periods where they're affecting someone are some of the groups of people that people find harder to include. So this can be using respectful and inclusive language on your website or your marketing or in your conversations. And I can post some links of kind of the up-to-date language because that's always changing. And of course, the best way is to ask someone their preferred language or simply call them by name. Nothing unusual there. Another helpful way is to use images or pictures or videos of people with disabilities from your local community who you might also employ, but perhaps you want to find models out there who represent your desired target employees. So if you're targeting culturally and linguistically diverse people or migrants, or you're targeting people with disabilities or indigenous people, find those people in your workplace or from talent agencies or even through networks who you want to pay and who are going to be representing your organization there. You can also include, reference to a diversity or disability inclusion action plans in your advertising. So a statement that talks about your priorities of hiring people with disabilities. You can have a identified position where you say we are highly encourage people with disabilities to apply. And have stories of people in your organization, or have stories of the adjustments you've made for employees, or the ways that you've created some inclusion there. And this starts from the top up. Have your leaders of that organization do that. And this could be providing some training to a variety of other staff as well. So this isn't kind of an either or. There's a variety of strategies here that you can take. But the main message in some of that is that people need to know that your door is not only open, but that you are actually doing things to be welcoming and inclusive. So simply saying, oh, well, we didn't go out and tell people with disabilities they couldn't apply isn't enough. You actually have to sometimes give people permission, so to speak, that you want them and that you're willing to make adjustments, and that if they disclose that they have a disability or they need some reasonable adjustments in the workplace, that responsibility isn't going to fall all on them to organize, or that they're not going to get subliminally discriminated against for that. Another helpful strategy is to proactively connect with those types of candidates. So that could be through seeking out an organization that has relationships with people with disabilities, with the right mindsets too. Disability employment services certainly have relationships with a lot of people looking for work, However, they might be of the mindset that any old job will do, and they might not actually know people that well. Some people in disability employment services have hundreds of people on their caseloads, and so it's really hard to get to know someone really well and their skill sets and contributions, and to give the time that's needed to be the bridge in that relationship between the person with the disability and the employer. So going out there to find those people, where do we find people with disabilities or people who know those people? And that could be engaging with, peak bodies or community development organizations like ours or other businesses, or possibly even identifying some graduate positions for people that are enrolled in university. Probably the most important piece here above all of that, I would suggest, if you are seriously considering, look, we want to figure out how to be more accessible, inclusive, welcoming, and take action on hiring someone or multiple people with a disability now and in the future, is actually looking at your HR practices. And this starts from your job advertisements. The number of advertisements I see where they use even the language is exclusive, that you have 2+ years experience, a number of qualifications that may not be necessarily needed. And then there's other language that is used, such as, think on their feet, fast-paced environment, great communicator, customer facing, jump right in, hit the ground running, high stress environment. The majority of places that I've ever worked in and know of, there's very few places that I would say are fast-paced. Unless you're working on an assembly line or in a doctor's surgery, or you're working on a construction site with machinery where you're moving quite quickly or something, there's very few jobs that are fast-paced. Many employees, especially if it's office jobs or other things, sure, there's a sense of urgency, but not fast-paced. So let's think about the language that we're using there, because people get excluded thinking, I don't want to work in a fast-paced environment. You might need to actually change some of that. And also, again, including a diversity statement in there. We highly encourage people with a disability to apply. And also, you can encourage in there for applicants, we encourage applicants to request reasonable adjustments through the application and a recruitment process, so that they can get in touch with X, Y, and Z person to request reasonable adjustments. This could even be to request a tour of the facility prior to applying. Maybe someone just wants to see what the place looks like, or they want an extended interview time, or they might need to bring a support person with them to the interview that's not going to maybe do the talking, but might just be there for a bit of comfort. Another tip is don't include any non-essential items in the position description. So I've had conversations recently with someone who we talked about driver's license. A lot of jobs say, yeah, C-class license required. If the pure reason that's required is to get to and from work, that's not a requirement. All you need to state in there is must have reliable way, method, means to get to and from work. That's it. If it's an office place-based position, reliable way to get to and from work at least 2 days a week. And then, remote work is negotiable. Encouraged to have conversations about remote work. And also include the contact details of this person, email and phone, so someone can get in touch and ask questions. Another thing to think about is job customization. So this is a process where you'd take a role traditionally and suit it to the skills of the employee that also meet the needs of the employer. So it's kind of negotiating what are the range of tasks that need to be done daily, weekly, monthly, annually, and what tasks are negotiable. How can we take maybe some tasks that are typically a full-time role and make that into 6, 12, 18 hours a week? That's still, the aim is to arrive at a relationship that's mutually beneficial for the employee and the company. It meets the company's needs and it benefits the employee. And this is also great because it allows a business to then take some of those tasks from more of their senior experienced staff who've been around for a little while and move them up into more of the advanced kind of bigger tasks, and bring in some entry level people. Because in fact, a lot of people with disabilities exclude themselves from applying for a role because it says full time, or it's 9 to 5, or it's long days. Um, so consider that, does the role need to be full time? Could it be two part-time roles where people share half days, a morning and an afternoon, or where people share 2.5 days and 2.5 days, or 3 days and 2 days? Does it have to be full time? There's actually some benefit to having two part-time roles, meaning if one person's away, you've got someone else who knows the tasks. And perhaps if person one is away, person two might be willing to then step up and do 5 days that week because that one person's away. So you've got some benefits there of not just siloing into one person. So that's where I'd recommend you start. I'll do another video kind of on the interview and assessment process and what to do before and during and after the interview that might be helpful. So I hope this has been really useful in terms of that recruitment space and job advertisement. And if there's any businesses out there that are wanting some consulting guidance around some of this, I'm more than happy. Please get in touch. I'll put my details and website in the links. So go well. And in this job market, we need to really start thinking outside the box about how to tap into the talent pools that are already here. Because the people are here, just need to think a bit differently about how to go about this.